podcast through Skype.
Yep. And got technical difficulties already.
Yeah, that's the only way it's going to happen.
Is going to go.
Cheers, my friend.
Cheers. There you go.
Yeah, my little screwdriver.
Yep. I'm drinking the old...
the Coronavirus Express.
I'm drinking the virus, yeah.
Yep. That's how you get the virus. Isn't it pathetic? Isn't it so pathetic that they had to shut down production because people are petrified to buy the beer?
I think that's what originally happened. But I think now they're actually doing pretty good. I think the inverse has started happening now.
Oh, I hope so. But, they're missing, huge advertising opportunities. I would be doing, Corona-free Coronas, you know what I mean? Virus-free bottles and all this stuff.
They're probably scared of negative publicity. They don't, they'll think they get some backlash if they do something like that, maybe.
It's because everybody's pussies.
That, my friend, is true.
Yeah. Speaking of pussies, no, I'm joking. So we're talking about California today, right? California 11.
A little bit about California.
Yeah. So we've been working on our Instagram account for the podcast, and we've noticed that we have a large influx of people who view our stuff from California.
No idea why, but
yeah, New York isn't even on the list.
But New York's third, yeah.
Yeah, which it's funny though, because we have a show about being on both sides of the aisle. And our top two states are California and Texas.
Texas, yeah. And then New York third.
Yeah, one's obviously a big liberal state. The other one's a very big conservative state, which is kind of what, we're looking to have happen.
Yeah, it makes sense because, the format of our show is we're two different dudes, we have different opinions. And it kind of makes sense, I guess, that two different states, one like a liberal state and one a conservative state, would be interested in listening to what we have to say. It shows how maybe people in general want that dialogue, regardless of where they fall on the political spectrum.
There's definitely a lot more people out there. We always talk about the media is not your friend. We'll say it every time. They're not going to portray, anything that goes against the agenda. All the Latinos for Trump, women for Trump, gays for Trump, blacks for Trump, you name it, there's 4 Trumps.
There's a lot of Latinos for Trump. That's true.
Yeah.
A lot of Latinos are like hardcore conservatives,
Well, yeah, and I mean, not to, the whole deal with the border and stuff, but you got to think you're an immigrant. You came here, you did it the right way. Like the Doc and Admiral's, mother and father-in-law, they came here. I don't want to say any names, but they came here and they did the right thing and became citizens and put in the work. And even the Doc's wife had to come here as an immigrant, put in the work. So if you're from Mexico and you did all the correct steps to become a citizen, you don't give a fuck who's getting in for free. You don't want anyone else doing that shit.
Yeah, that's true. I wonder how many legal citizens they allow from Mexico every year.
I don't know. Yeah,
look that up. But you're right, though, man.
Mexico's just one. I mean, there's Canada, Britain, India. You know how many people immigrate here from India? Oh my God, it's got to be thousands.
Yeah, India has a weird relationship with us because they have a lot of we get a lot of workers from them on special visas, and they come work in our tech companies and things like that.
Well, we also send them a lot of work. A lot of our industry ends up over there as well.
Yeah, that's true. That's too much fucking work to figure this out. Fuck it.
That's fine. So I figured today we could shout out some love to California as we get ready for 420 over here.
Yeah.
Hopefully we'll be able to. I think we're gonna celebrate it, whether we're allowed to or not.
We'll make something happen.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was supposed to actually go to California the weekend of 420.
Yeah.
But that's not happening anymore, obviously.
I know.
They'll lock me up as soon as I get there if I did.
Well, you can go, but there's nowhere you can go. You know what I mean?
Everything's shut down out there. They got it pretty bad. I was going to go to LA too, and they got it just as bad as New York did.
Yep. Yeah. The travel ban's been lifted. You could travel anywhere you want. It's either I haven't heard it got restarted. Somebody said it's now to April 30th, but I haven't seen anything about that. So,
no, I don't know. That I don't know, honestly.
mm.
I don't. Is there even a travel ban? I've seen like, you
It
can still
ended.
fly,
It
like
ended yesterday. Yeah. Well, there was
domestically though. There was never a ban
no.
domestically on
You
flying.
could always travel. You could
There's
always
b-
travel
there was
domestically.
Right. There was bans on definitely going to like Europe and China
Yep.
and whatnot. Wait, so the ban's over on China now?
So Trump did a 30-day travel ban. I don't know if it's what the deal is for China, but I know this included Europe. I think he's banned all travel to Europe, but he put a 30-day travel ban on some European countries that got hit real bad, and that ended
Yeah, I remember
yesterday.
that. Yeah.
That ended yesterday. That was the 30 days.
Yeah,
So,
I don't think it's over though, bro. I think it's still going. I think they maybe extended it or something.
I haven't heard. That's the only thing.
I don't see any new news regarding it, which leads me to believe that's still going on. Like I don't see any.
Or
news.
it ended and they just didn't tell anyone.
See, Forbes has an article 11 hours ago. Europe borders may close to September due to U.S. COVID
Jesus Christ.
threat. So I think the ban probably goes both ways. They probably banned us from going there
Yeah.
too.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Canada closed their borders to us.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
They don't want any of those dirty fucking Americans messing up their beautiful country.
Yeah. Screwing up the Canucks of the North.
The Canucks.
So let's talk some shit about California, some good and some bad, since we do a little bit of both. It's one place I've always wanted to go, but
Never been?
no, the furthest I've ever gone is Vegas.
Okay.
Yeah. I want to go to California, but they let people shit in the streets, man. And it's perfectly fine. They had like 2,800 accounts of like people shitting in the streets. It's disgusting.
You gotta go.
They just let anything fly over there.
Yeah, they have a major homeless problem right now, and the problem is with them, as far as I understand, there's a lot of homeless. First of all, right?
There's their leadership.
In LA, there's like 70,000-80,000 homeless people there. So I hear. And the problem is that they're not enforcing the laws that are like no loitering or in certain areas. So that's
Yeah, they don't enforce any laws. So my big beef being a Republican with California, here's this awesome state and it's got this huge metropolis city, billions of dollars gets made there. The whole north of it is all awesome woodlands areas and stuff. You got the whole coast, which is all beach. So it's very nice area.
Beautiful state, yeah.
Yeah, it's a really beautiful state, but it's just poorly ran. Like they let people shit in the streets. They have safe spaces for people to do heroin and drugs and shit. The streets are lined with needles and fucking crap all over the place. They got towns of 80,000 people that are homeless.
Homeless towns, yeah.
And they don't enforce these laws because they don't want to hurt anybody's feelings. It's the leadership over there. Think how many people move just like from New York. California is one of the biggest mass exodus states there is.
Mm-hmm.
So many people leave California, go to other states, and turn those states Democratic because they just keep voting the same way.
Yeah, I know what you mean. Like they export their beliefs to other states. Yeah. The thing is too with the homeless, especially in LA, the weather there is really nice.
Yeah.
So it's it's an easy place. You could live outside year round and not die. You know what I mean? Like if you lived in Boston, New York, and you were homeless, or New York in the wintertime, it's hard to survive outside. It's nearly impossible.
It's springtime right now, and it's hard to survive outside.
Mm-hmm. I don't know, how do you even fix a situation like that, man? Like when you have that many people just out on the street, where do you begin? How do you fix a problem like that? What are you gonna do? Throw them all in jail? There's probably not even enough room. They're not necessarily.
Well, not even, because they're probably close to what New York is doing, where you don't even spend time in jail, so they couldn't even throw people in jail, probably.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I'm just saying, like, how do you actually even begin? Say, some, Tom, Dick, and Harry get in fucking charge in California. How do they even begin? What do they do? How do they even begin?
They're going to have to
clean up the problem?
They're going to have to be some type of budget. There's going to have to be some type of cleanup effort. It's funding. The leadership just lets this run wild. I guess at the point it's at now, like between me and you, we're probably too simple-minded to figure out how to clean up.
Oh yeah, that's true.
100,000 people that are homeless. But they elect people, who just don't give a shit about that. You know what I'm saying? Like,
it's a good point. It's kind of like pandering in a way, right? Because they allow the homeless people to just do whatever they want and, break the law and not enforce the law, but they don't do anything to actually help these people. These are still human beings, and they need some sort of help, right? So some sort of program or something should be made to help them.
Yeah, and a lot of them have very bad drug addictions, and a lot of them have very bad mental disabilities where they're like just schizophrenics running through the streets. Like you got this
that guy headbutting the cars.
Yeah, dude, that was a Bronx kid, but
yeah, that was a Bronx kid.
But
we have our own share of problems out here.
Oh yeah, obviously, but it's I blame the leadership because they, you know what I'm saying, like they rather have a sanctuary state and allow illegals to hide there and not allow like ICE to do their job. They'd also rather have 90,000 homeless people.
It's just identity politics. It's just more identity politics. You know what I mean? And to the point where it's just identity politics and it's not actually doing anything. It's actually hurting people there. They should be doing something to help those people, not just leave them in their shit situation that they're in. Right. There should be a certain amount of money or something like that allocated to building housing for homeless people. And while the homeless people live in this house or these apartment buildings or whatever, there should be like counselors and whatnot to like help them, teach them how to fucking do something, a skill, or get off drugs, counsel them, help them somehow.
But and then you got to think of it too now. So there's probably one or two, places that are set up for homeless people to go for addiction rehab or a type of hospital for them. They're probably so underfunded in such garbage areas that it's not even worth going. You know what I mean?
Right. I've read stuff about homeless people too. Like they're scared to go to places like that because you get a lot of crazy other homeless people there that might rob you or kill you or something.
And I mean, me coming from my conspiracy side, there's always horror stories of talking about, you know what I mean? Like they test like weapons and stuff, like new weapons on like homeless. Who's gonna miss these people?
Weapons?
Yeah,
like guns.
Yeah, they test like different types of guns, or like they'll like offer like homeless people like, oh, we'll give you $500 if you come in for a day of testing, and they load up a bus and they're never seen again. And
really? You see this on your fucking crazy conspiracy websites?
Yeah, on all the conspiracy stuff. They're just busing them to their death or moving them to other states. Imagine getting on a bus and you're like, all right, when can I get off? Oh, when we hit Wyoming. All right, sit down and shut up.
I think that this homeless problem in California, especially LA, started recently or a few years ago because other cities cleaned up their homeless problem by just busing the homeless people to Los Angeles, kind of like just dumping them there to fix the problem. So like,
and what's to say somewhere along the line, LA is not going to just bus them to some other state or bus them to the gulag.
But they're not going to want to leave though. These other states were able to bust them because people wanted to get out of
you got to give them an
North
incentive.
Dakota because it was freezing fucking cold. Give them a free bus ticket. Here, go to Los Angeles and start a life there. And you just become a homeless person there. And it's way easier, like I said before, to live in Los Angeles where it's 75 degrees average temperature every day than it is in Wyoming where it's negative 20 late in the wintertime.
Yeah. And the other thing is, I don't even know how you would give these people jobs to get them to stop being homeless.
You can't even worry about that off the get-go. You got to get them just back to normal, like a sense of normalcy they need first.
Well,
they need help.
Them,
they need like guidance counselors or rehabilitation centers.
Honestly, a lot of them would probably have to be put into mental institutions. They're just so far gone, years of never taking medication.
Some of them, but I'm sure some of them, but I'm sure some of them no. I'm sure some of them could do something productive, man. Give them. Why don't the government give them a
lot of them
job?
Are veterans. Like, a lot of them are veterans.
Oh yeah, I'm sure. Why doesn't the government put them to work? Like, okay, we're gonna help you, but you have to sweep the fucking street, or you know what I mean, like something simple, just to get them back in that rhythm of like being a contributing member of society.
Well, because I don't really care for California's representatives, I'd like to blame them for not caring. But two, like. You have like some people are content being homeless. You know what I mean? Like they're fine with living in like a tent.
Right.
And there are some people that want to get back on their feet, but like to just get a bullshit job for bullshit pay to try and get back to normal, they'd rather sit on the sidewalk and try and hustle people for crack rocks.
Yeah. You see, that's why also what you said is a good point. What you just said is a good point, that a lot of them are just content with being homeless.
Yeah.
And let's bring this back to unemployment, right? Which we've talked about before. Yeah. And Trump, he always was, before this whole fucking crazy coronavirus shit happened, he was touting, low unemployment numbers and things like that. Yes, there definitely was lower unemployment than usual, the past couple of years under Trump. But people like the homeless, they're technically unemployed, and they're not counted in the statistics for unemployment because they've fallen off the chart to the point where they're not counted anymore. So those are all unemployed people, and there's millions of them definitely around, in the country, and they don't count towards the statistics.
Yeah. Yeah, no,
just something to think about.
But I agree, and it's an interesting way to look at it. But like, so then that means like our population, the census is way off. Then, you know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, how are you going to take a census of homeless people? You're going to send it to their tent city and ask them how many people? It's not even a legit address.
How do we know that it's 80,000 homeless people in LA and not 180,000 homeless people?
Probably estimated. Yeah. You're never going to get the exact number. But it's probably estimated. I actually just got the census thing a few weeks ago. And there's no way they'll ever get like the exact. Bless you.
Coronavirus.
That vitamin C ain't doing anything for you there, bud.
I got my
Airborne. All right.
Shout out to Airborne, keeping me alive in these rough days.
Yeah, I use that sometimes. I use like the little packets too. Those are really good.
I have the packets too upstairs.
There's good things about California too, though, man.
Oh, obviously, yeah, I mean, there's some
beautiful place, like nature-wise.
And I've always wanted to go to Muscle Beach. I always wanted to go to Muscle Beach.
Stare at all the dudes.
Yep.
Let's be real too. Just because, I know you're saying I hate the leadership there, and it's a very liberal place, but there's conservative people that live in California too, in the rural areas and whatnot.
Yeah.
California's had Republican governors. Wasn't Arnold a Republican? Right? He was, yeah. He definitely was.
He doesn't have Republican views anymore, that's for sure. Anything Trump does, he hates.
Yeah, but that's because he probably has like a personal rivalry with Trump. But it's like every other state. It's like every other state, and just like our show, there's people on both sides, and it just has this. It has this bad stigma.
Liberal stronghold. It's a real liberal stronghold now.
It is.
Could you ever see like California going red? Like the next election, you really think like while you're watching CNN or ABC, when we're waiting for the numbers to come?
For the president? No.
Yeah,
voting for the president? No. But like I said, I'm pretty sure they've had Republican governors before.
Yeah. Maybe in like the 80s.
No. Recently, I'm telling you, like Arnold was.
There is.
I know, like San Diego
representatives out there.
Yeah, I know, like San Diego is very conservative as opposed to Los Angeles. Like they're two totally different places.
Yeah.
Funny how San Diego's conservative. Maybe because they're so close to the border with Mexico. Like they deal with the immigration and stuff firsthand every day.
That's funny because a lot of places in Texas along the border are Democratic districts and counties. Because what people are doing in Texas or from outside of Texas, they move to Texas and they go to these super liberal areas along the border where they want people to just. I don't understand why. I don't know. Me and you never really talked about it, but where would you fall on open borders to the north and south? I think that's completely ludicrous.
No, that doesn't make it. Yeah, that doesn't make any sense. How would you have an open border? If you have an open border, I mean, Trump says this all the time. If you have an open border, you don't have a country, which is true. Yeah. There needs to be a line that this is where USA starts and this is where Canada ends. You know what I mean? There has to be something.
And I understand it's just the ground. The grass that grows here and the grass that grows on that side is all the same, and I get that. But you need some type of safe haven and some type of line drawn in the sand.
Right.
So, but people move down to these southern areas of Texas, and they're like pro open borders, and they're like, we're gonna go down there and fight the good fight at the wall. Like, come on.
Yeah, that's ridiculous. See, I do believe you have to have a border, and you do have to have an amount of people that you allow in every year, right? There's got to be some. I'm sure there is. There's got to be like some, bureau that determines, okay, we have this many people working in the country, this many people living in the country. We can allow every year this many new citizens in without it damaging the economy or the society. You know what I mean? Like, there's got to be some educated decision behind it. That's why I believe in that. You know, do I know what the numbers are? No, I have no fucking idea. But there's got to be some sort of study done that knows how many people you could allow in. If you just allow everybody in and it's unchecked, and what's to stop us from becoming India, where there's people on top of each other and it's just not a good situation for everybody.
Yeah, and on top of that, you know, you're never going to get the true number either. You know what I mean?
No, you're not. But you could. But I'm sure they do pretty. I'm sure like the statistics and estimates are pretty close for the most part. Obviously, they're not down to the exact number, but they're probably close within a margin of error.
Maybe, yeah, I can see that. But yeah, now let's do some good of California. And the top of my head is legalize marijuana.
Yeah,
which is great.
Yeah, not only, and we've said this before, not only did they legalize it, but it's essential. They're still open during the coronavirus thing.
Yeah, people are out there getting obliterated.
Yeah, so that's a good thing. Like, you know, why not? You know, it's freedom. That's something where they're just allowing people to be free. You want to smoke weed? Go ahead. We're not going to ram weed down your fucking throat if you don't want to do it. But if you want to, go ahead. And the fact that New York doesn't have it,
I know.
It's insane.
Yeah, I don't know. You know what the problem though is? Like with New York, it's just going to be taxed so heavy. Yeah. Like drug dealers aren't going to go out of business in New York because people aren't going to pay the tax. Because once you buy it, if you get caught with it in a bag, you're like, oh, well, I bought it from this dispensary. Right. You know, it's going to be decriminalized completely. So even if you end up with 2-3 ounces on you,
you know, it's not any real trouble.
And in New York, they're not going to keep you in jail anyway. So
right, they give you Mets tickets.
Yeah, if you show up to your court date, you'll get to see a Mets game.
Yeah, it's really dumb that New York hasn't legalized it because in that regards, California is way ahead of the curve.
Yeah.
Because, all right, they legalized it. So on a personal standpoint, if you like weed, that's great. You can smoke. You don't have to worry about getting in trouble. You know, now you have access to this good quality stuff. Yeah. From a business standpoint, California has now developed an entire industry around marijuana. There's new companies.
A recession-proof industry.
Right. People are always going to want to get high. It's like cereal. People are going to eat cereal all the time. Doesn't matter what's going on. People are always going to want to get high. And now that state has created companies that are cultivating the weed, selling the weed, opening the stores and whatnot. So eventually, sorry, folks, but weed's going to be legal at some point in the future. Eventually. Yeah. The dominoes fall. And
all the Reagan strongholds that are left. Weed will be legalized.
They're going to fall. Sorry, you know, maybe we'll be old by the time, but it's going to happen. And the thing is, those companies in California are probably going to take the market share of everything because they're already established, and you know, New York is way behind.
Yeah, I always said that once weed is legalized federally across the country, and there's an active stock trade for it, Marlboro and Newport are going to show up, and they're going to find the biggest, most lucrative, most efficient weed growing operation and buy them, and then probably buy the next two. And
I don't think they will. But
yeah, of course.
I don't think so,
bro. They're a corporation, and they have the stronghold on cigarettes. When weed is legalized, like cigarettes are, trust me, Newport is going to want to have their own type of weed out. Marlboro is going to have their own branded weed. And the only way they're going to find that is through the biggest farmer dealer out there. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, but why haven't they done that already in California, per se? See, I don't think they want to do that. Hear me out. I don't think they're going to do that because they don't want people smoking weed. They want people smoking cigarettes,
right?
And they see weed as a threat to their business model.
Now think of how big the tobacco industry is. Once there's a threat to it, they're going to take it over. It's the only right now they're not doing it because it's only piecemeal, state by state. Whereas when somebody's eventually going to become the Kmart of weed, Kushmart, you know what I mean? Like think of all the mom and pop department stores there were over time. And all the hardware stores, and then it became Home Depot. Home Depot was just a hardware store that became the best hardware store. Yeah. Kmart was the best retail store that became the best retail store for that. Someone is going to become the best weed store. Mm-hmm. And then Newport or Marlboro is going to come in, by them, and they'll represent them.
Maybe. The thing is, I know that these tobacco companies lobby in Congress against marijuana becoming legalized. They're part of the reason why it's not legal federally.
I get that.
They're trying to stop it at all costs. Maybe you're right. Maybe when the dominoes eventually fall, when
once
and everything.
they lose, if you were in their position, you just lost the battle. You still have billions and billions and billions of dollars. What's the next thing you're going to do? Can't beat them, join them.
Yeah, you're right. Maybe. I'm just surprised that they haven't already. What is stopping them from getting involved in California or buying up 3 or 4 weed businesses just to, you know what I mean? Like, why haven't they gotten their start already?
What if a company, who's not to say that, who's not to say there's some company that the parent company is the Newport, you know what I mean?
Could be.
And they're just waiting and cultivating, I mean, why not pay two sides of the fence? This is fucking Congress and politics. You can do whatever you want, apparently.
Yeah, that's exactly what they do. They contribute to both sides and they lobby both sides because they have so much money they could throw it away doing such a thing.
Dude, I saw such a funny thing. It said, remember back in the day when wrestling told everybody that wrestling was fake, but they still watched it anyway?
Yes.
We're almost at that point with politics.
Yeah, we are.
We're fake. All we do is lie to you. All right, you're still going to vote for us? Thank you.
All right, so I'm looking up why. I basically Googled why haven't the cigarette companies gotten involved in marijuana. So they haven't, but there are major companies that have gotten involved. Constellation Brands, apparently, has gotten involved in the marijuana business. Constellation Brands are the guys who sell Corona. They've gotten involved in it, but they're not a cigarette company. They're an alcohol company.
That's fine, but the goal there is the same as what I was talking about before. Have the biggest, baddest weed brand.
All right. So I'm wrong. Altria has gotten involved, and Altria owns Marlboro, Virginia Slims, Parliament.
There you go.
They also own a 35% stake in Juul. I feel like Juul is in trouble.
Juul was a conspiracy that I showed everyone plain as fucking day. Como wanted to fucking ban all those vape juices and shit. Everyone said no. Everyone was against it. And then all of a sudden, kids started dropping dead.
Yeah,
names,
that just
nothing.
Disappeared. Yeah, right. Remember that? We talked about that on like our first, maybe on our Fucked Up Friday podcast originally.
Yeah. And then he got away with the laws he wanted to pass for whatever reason.
I don't think it was just Cuomo, bro. I think federally they maybe banned shit too, didn't they?
Oh, maybe. I don't know, but that was a conspiracy that played out. That we watched that play out where, we're not going to get the law I want passed. Oh, look at this, children are dying, but since they're children, we can't give you their names.
Right. Remember, it was like a child has died from Juul.
Yeah.
Okay. Where?
And
when? How? What's his name? Yeah. You want to give us any information, media, about it, or a child has died? So now we can just say whatever we want.
If Juul pods, here's something that I always find interesting, and I find interesting about coronavirus. And maybe I just haven't seen it because I don't actively watch like CNN or ABC or CBS or anything like that. But if Juul pods were the reason all these teenagers were dying, and they had a statistic of however X many kids were dying from smoking Juul pods, where were all their parents on the news? If your son died or your daughter died from a Juul pod, and there's some chemical in there, wouldn't you be, if Como's, wants to ban this, why isn't he getting the masses of grieving parents to be interviewed and to be crying on TV? How come they're not interviewing them? Same thing with coronavirus. Coronavirus is killing thousands and thousands and thousands of people. Where are the family members? You really don't think CNN wouldn't want someone on blaming Trump for the death of their grandmother, their father, their aunt, their uncle, their cousin, whoever fucking gets it? That's prime time news to have some grieving family belittling Trump and his actions for corona, but they're not interviewing these people. It's fucking suspicious. It really is.
Yeah, well, they're probably not interviewing them because they want to control the narrative on everything. Yeah. They don't want to allow...
but this would strengthen their narrative. You know what I'm
Well,
saying?
no,
Like
maybe maybe they can't find anybody that wants to play ball. If my
think of how many
relative
hundreds of people. But
yeah
a lot of people have died, man. But
no, you're right.
Let's go back to the Jewel Pod, because I know the coronavirus is kind of hard to swing, but this Jewel Pod thing, there was obviously some type of conspiracy there. If Como wants people, if you were on the fence to be fuck it, let them smoke what they want, or no, we should fucking, if you were on the fence and you saw a mother crying that her daughter just died, and then you look at your kids, you're like, oh no, fuck that shit. I'm voting, let's ban this stuff. If all these kids are dying and you're trying to pass a bill, where's the interviews? Where's the grieving families?
I know what you mean. Where are the actual examples of this stuff?
Yeah. And that's why I'm saying he wanted something done. It wasn't going his way. And boom, magically somebody died. And all right, now we have the reason to do. That's how little of a reason now. An anonymous person may or may not have passed away, but the news ran the story, and a law was passed.
Right. Just to justify a law get passed. Why do you think that they wanted to? If this was by design, why do you think they wanted to make Juuls or those flavors illegal? Like, what ulterior motive? Like, they're saying that they made it illegal. They made the flavors illegal because kids liked them, which kind of makes sense. But if there's an ulterior motive, what do you think the ulterior motive was?
Politically, it's got to be money. Somebody has a stake in one of the cigarette companies, and I think like a bit of good news that I always like to see every now and then was like this current young generation of adolescents and teens and stuff has the least amount of smokers in like the history of the world, and I think that's great. You know what I mean? Like, my mother smokes. I can't stand how the smell and all that stuff. I've smoked cigarettes before, but I'm glad to see that like a generation is like
turning away from that.
Yeah, cigarette smoke this year alone has killed more people than coronavirus has killed worldwide.
Right. We don't think of it that way, though.
Oh yeah, more Americans have died this year. Well, maybe not because it's only Q1 still, but last year, like hundreds of 800,000 Americans died of cigarette smoke. We haven't even reached that in China yet of coronavirus victims and shit.
Oh, I'm sure we probably have. They're just lying about it.
Yeah, they are. But then if you look at like nicotine and tobacco deaths in like India and shit, the numbers are astronomical. You know what I'm saying? So there's a lot of money. So for my reason with the Juul pods, there's a whole generation that these tobacco industries can't sell to because Juul's in the way. You get Juul out of the way, and they're already addicted to the small amount of nicotine from the Juul pods.
Yeah.
Now, what's the next thing they're going to do? I'm not going to smoke any of these guys. I can't vape anymore. Oh, fuck it. I'll just buy a pack of cigarettes. It's probably cheaper than a whole pack of Juul pods.
Probably. Just to play devil's advocate, you know what's something that's pretty crazy? The Juuls, right? Juuls are something that are relatively new, and vaping and all this stuff, right?
Extremely new.
So
I don't even like using a weed oil pen.
We don't really know the full effects of what that stuff does to a person over the long term. With cigarettes, we know, right? Yeah. Because people have been smoking cigarettes since fucking a long time, hundreds of years.
Time.
Yeah, probably like 200-300 years people have been smoking. Smoking tobacco and things like that. But the Juuls, that shit is new. Yeah. What's crazy, my point is, what's pretty crazy is how we allow something we have absolutely no idea what effect it has on you physically to just be produced and sold and bought by people and just whatever. Just to play devil's advocate, like, how do we know those shits are not fucking poisonous? And, like, we're just allowing companies to just, boom, you're selling it. Boom, we're selling it. Like they said in Jurassic Park. Boom, you're selling it. Boom, you're selling it before you even thought about the repercussions of what it might do.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. Think of the weed vape pens, right?
That's the ones they said were causing the problem, right?
It's just a gelatinous goo that makes you feel funny. Who's to say that it's from weed that's giving you the high, or it's just a mixture of chemicals that are...
Yeah, that's true.
You know what I'm saying? Like, it's scary to think about. I hate smoking it, you know what I mean?
That's true.
But it could just be poison, because K2, That guy that you were talking about, that video.
The guy headbutting the
Right.
cars in the Bronx. Yeah.
He was, and somebody else sent another video in a New York subway where the guy was freaking out on K2, and he ended up in between the tracks in the subway, and a train was coming, and somebody rescued him at like the last minute. But like K2 is synthetic marijuana. It's garbage chemicals that are made to look like little green leaves that you smoke, and these are the fucking reactions you get out of them.
Yeah.
So what's to say that the goo inside this vape pen right here?
It's not something like that.
Yeah, isn't like that. That just it not to an extent you're running your head into cars and stuff, but that's why you feel funny. That's why you feel stoned. Right?
It's a good point. It's a good point, man. I remember the first time I ever smoked one of those fucking weed oil pens. Whoa, I was high. Fuck, like way more high than I usually get on smoking like just regular shit. You know, after a while, I got used to them kind of, but I never owned one myself. But they're fucking strong, man. Those pens.
They used to be. I haven't found a strong one in a long time.
Maybe you just build up a tolerance to it.
That too.
Is that what you just had before? I saw you like showed something.
That was when we.
So you're back on the pens. So you're back on smoking the pens.
No, I smoke them. Don't get me wrong. I'll never say I don't. But it's just because I don't like burning in the house and fucking making it all smell. So, but it's a concern of mine that this is just goo in a chemical goo to make me. And you got to think though, like, so what's put in place to make sure food and drinks are not bad for you? The FDA, right? Look at like Coca-Cola. We know it's terrible for you. Look at McDonald's. Like, it's something you got to stay away from. Like, if the FDA is letting that pass, they probably would let some weird vape shit pass too.
I was gonna when you mentioned that, I read a book. I read a book back in college. It was called In Defense of Food, and it talked about a lot of that shit. How the FDA allows a lot of these things that are terrible for you to just be consumed, and they don't tell you that it's terrible, or they were like the government was being lobbied by the companies that make that stuff. No, don't regulate it and make it harder for us to make these things because it affect our profit margins and one like that. Just leave it be. There's no evidence that smoking cigarettes or eating McDonald's is bad for you. There's no evidence. Look, we have our own scientists. Listen, go ahead, Phil. Tell them. Is eating McDonald's bad for you? Well, my studies show that eating McDonald's is actually good for you. You should eat McDonald's 3 times a day. All my studies prove. They just pay a guy off to do that.
It's like the Second Amendment polls that happen in California. Like, are you against the Second Amendment? Oh, well, gee, we're on a college campus in California. Yeah, I'm against it.
No shit. Yeah, exactly. No shit. Everybody would vote. Yeah. They don't get the full picture of things.
No, not at all. But no, like so it's scary. Like, you're okay. So nobody's gonna know this, and I'm not gonna give away any names. But you're very familiar with the pork industry. And what is bologna? What is bologna made of?
Bologna is just everything. It's just eyes, ears, snoots, just random toenail clippings, whatever.
What do you think? Like, all right, so now that's like right. So when you go to like the Walmart of Wisconsin or Wyoming, like that's got to be just like pink plastic
goo,
Play-Doh, yeah, like the cheapest, most garbage, like pre-packaged preservative thing of bologna.
Yeah, that's all it is. It's chemical. It's chemically like preserved shit.
Oh wait, perfect. All right, I love Burger King. Shout out Burger King. You read what the Impossible Burger was, right? Didn't your wife want that? And you read what it was made of, and it was garbage?
She ate it, and she was like, it tastes basically exactly like a Whopper. But I think she felt like shit after she ate it. So I looked it up. I mean, you're going to feel like shit after you eat any fast food, most likely anyway. But I looked it up, and it's just fucking chemical. It's a chemical hamburger. That's why. Why do you think it tastes like a beef? Because it's got some sort of chemical in it that is like a replica of beef taste. Is that chemical good for you? I'm going to go out on a limb and say no, it's not.
Exactly.
It's probably better for you to just eat that trash meat Whopper. I think it is. I think the actual Whopper, regular Whopper, is healthier for you than the Impossible Whoppers.
Now, here's the problem with that. Okay, so now Sam says it tastes pretty much like the regular Whopper, right?
Yes.
So now next time you go to Burger King and you get the double Whopper, Is it two of these chemical are all of these chemical patties now?
I'd say
and Burger King got in trouble for that burger. I think there was a lawsuit not too long after it came out, and there was like meat in it or something like that.
Really? That's fucked up, because the reason why they make something like that is for people
vegetarians.
Right, for vegetarians or people for religious reasons don't eat beef. You're giving them an alternative, something that's not beef. And then imagine say you're a Muslim, right, and you don't eat beef, and then you go to Burger
they don't
King.
Eat pork.
Right.
I think it's pork, but
is it?
I think
whatever.
India,
any religion,
the cow is sacred.
Right. And you don't eat that. Now you go to Burger King and you're like, okay, I have this Impossible Whopper I can eat, and they give you a regular Whopper or something like that. You know what I mean? Like they mix it up, or there's meat in there. You never had beef in your entire life, and they just fucked your whole shit up.
You just forsaken your religion.
Everything. It's not your fault, obviously, but everything you worked for, like how disciplined you were your entire life, they just shit
deceptive.
on. Yeah, I bet people like that probably wouldn't even go eat in a place like that, because they're clean and they actually like have standards that they eat by,
but
like everybody else.
It's just a big corporation taking advantage of people, just like we're talking about with the jewel pods and the tobacco industry. It just they all they're in
socialist
for
shit on the corporations.
Well, listen, I don't mind that they made the amount of money that they did. You know what I'm saying? I just mind that they're willing to make that much money by fucking people over. Like if I put a product out there, like, listen, if I hit the lottery, I would 100% start a local brewery, and I would 100% go down to Kentucky, and I'd have my own goddamn bourbon. But never.
Would you sacrifice? Would you cut corners in order to maximize profit?
Would I cut corners to maximize profits? Yes. Would I poison people or give somebody a lesser quality product to cut those corners? No.
Right.
No.
But a lot of these companies do. Like, they need to just. It's never enough. That goes back to all these conversations we've had about capitalism. Right. Capitalism needs to grow. It needs to show more profits this year than last year.
Yeah, I'm going to feed right into you. Prime example. You ever have Smash Burger?
No, I never have. I know you've had it a couple times, though.
A couple of times, a couple of hundred times. Smash Burger was by far one of my most favorite places to go eat. Their burgers and their chicken sandwiches were way better than anything else. But when they started, there was, I think in New York, there was only like 4 Smash Burgers. They weren't a big corporation yet.
Yeah.
They were a chain.
They were starting out.
Fast food. Yeah. They were a fast food chain, but they weren't this mega conglomerate. Then Smash Burger got wildly successful because they had such a good product. I physically can't eat there anymore. So many have opened up. They became mainstream, and they cut the corners of putting out a shittier product.
So what you're saying, when you first started eating it, when it was small, delicious. It was good. Now it's shit.
Yep. Another prime example that you would know about, Chipotle. Has Chipotle been anywhere as good?
No. It used to be great. Now it's very bland now.
Yep. Chipotle still fills that itch of when you want a large burrito, but when Chipotle first opened, that was a legitimate spot to get like tasty, good fucking burritos. Yeah. Now it's hit or miss garbage. When I was working in the city with the Admiral and we would go to fucking Chipotle, it was garbage. Every single time it was garbage.
That's a shame, man. That was good shit. That's a real shame.
And the same thing happened with Smash Burger. They got so big that I'm afraid that's going to happen to Chick-fil-A.
I don't know. I don't think so, because Chick-fil-A is a very principled organization, but it's led by a principled guy, like a very religious principled guy. So I don't think so.
And now
until that guy dies, and then like the board takes over and says, well, Jeff, I don't know what the fuck the guy's name is. Jeff's gone now, so now we gotta, now we're gonna take this place in a new direction, and we're gonna start maximizing profits even more.
And now we're gonna have chicken nuggets in those.
And we're gonna open on Sundays. You know what I mean? Like it's only a matter of time. Corporations are immortal, bro. They live on past.
Shame, bro. Yeah, that's the socialist in me. If I'm socialist at all, it's just that nobody could stay like nobody could stay pure. You got to think like the tequila bottles and the scotch bottles that wouldn't like me and you will spend $150 on.
Mm-hmm.
They never that bottle's $150 because they've never deviated from the plan. 100 years ago, they made that scotch that exact way.
Yeah. Also, they've let it age for a certain amount of time. Yeah. They're not lying to you. A lot of those places have very strict standards when it comes to shit like that. They're not giving you a bottle they made yesterday and stamping it 150-year-old tequila. And at least I think they're not doing that for the most part.
And even a big name like Johnny Walker and Jim Beam still have standards. You know what I'm saying? Like
alcohol companies are pretty good with that type of shit when you think about it. They have good standards, alcohol companies. Yeah.
Better than the fast food industry.
Shit. They don't throw garbage in their foods. We've been to distilleries and places like that, and like you see the process behind it. They care about what they're doing. A lot of places that.
They were doing it like that 50 years ago. They were doing it like that 80 years ago. You know what I mean? Like Macallan has I think one of the craziest ones I saw was like a 30-year bottle. So back in 1989, they had the same standards that they have today.
Yeah.
They might try and test new things and release new things.
Yeah, there's nothing wrong with that, yeah.
Which I'm fine with. Cool. If you want to do another branch of it, but if you're going to give me the 18-year aged, I want it better be in a barrel for 18 years.
Yeah, and right.
And restaurants, and not that they would be aging food for 18 years, but restaurants and other industries, just cut those corners, man, and fake it.
If I buy a Whopper, I'm expecting there to be cow in it. You know what I mean? Not, toenail of, shoe in there or something. Some just outrageous shit in there or a chemical. Dude, these places literally put like chemicals that taste. These chemical factories and scientists are so good at making these shits. I read this book I was reading back in college. The guy was talking about how he went to one of these chemical plants in New Jersey that make chemical flavorings for things. And when he was there, like touring the place, he literally they blindfolded him. They put a strip. Oh, Captain's getting naked. All right, taking a page out of Justin's book. They took a chemical strip. They blindfolded him. Took a chemical strip, put it right in front of his face, and were like, "What do you smell?" He's like, "I smell hamburgers." They're like, take the blindfold off, open your eyes. It was just a piece of paper. And he's like, I literally could have sworn there was a hamburger right in front of my face to the point where I wanted to eat it.
And the FDA approves shit like that. So imagine if Como was doing something good for the people. I'll go on both sides of the fence. It's what we're all about. Let's say it's not a conspiracy. Let's say Como was really concerned about the youth of America being poisoned by these jewel pods. What the fuck was in it then? Both sides of the fence are not pretty.
Yeah.
You're
right. You're right.
They were either advocating to get rid of these to make more money, or they were advocating to get rid of these because it was fucking serious.
Right. And that leads me back to what I said before. Like, how the fuck does shit like that even allow to get sold? Like, do you not have to get don't you have to get approval from the FDA? Maybe not for cigarettes. I don't know.
But the FDA can be paid off.
Right.
But this is the big thing for the FDA. We now have a warning. This is the sign. All you need to do. We should post this for the show because then we could get away with whatever we want.
Yeah, I kind of agree with that though, because people are dumb and you need to spell shit out for people in big letters very clearly. So I remember when I was in Italy, I bought some fucking little cigarellos, and it was a box of I forgot what I think it was Cohiba, and on the box it literally said in big fucking letters, "Smoking will kill you." Right on the box, it said it in Italian, and I was like, I kind of like that. Like, people are dumb; they need shit to be spelled out for them.
They do
in layman's terms.
They do, but this is the Ron Swanson in me. That's the beautiful part of freedom, though. Like, listen.
Right. I'm not saying you can't buy it.
Neither am I. We both are in agreement on this.
I smoked these cigarellos that said they will kill you. I'm not saying you can't smoke it or do it. Yes, you have the freedom to do whatever you want. but you should know what you're getting into before you know what I mean. Like I shouldn't be deceived into doing something. I full well knew that those cigarellos are bad for me and they could kill me in the long term. But I made the decision to do it anyway. If I didn't know about it, if I didn't know Juuls were bad for me or in the long term were gonna fuck me up, that's kind of fucked up that they would even allow it to be sold. You know, what if they're selling rat poison to people and they'd be like, oh, here, this is the new thing. Here you go.
It easily could be rat poison, and that leads into one of my whole conspiracy of like the nuclear family and stuff. Like, you weren't with me when I went to Denver, but what like Middle America countries have you been to?
Middle America countries?
Yeah,
we've been to Tennessee.
Okay, right. Tennessee would be a good one. Did you go shopping for food for the house in Tennessee?
I think so.
Okay, there's weird people when you go out to these. Like, I went to Colorado, and I love Colorado. Drinking out of the Colorado Zoo glass. I can't wait to go back. When we were shopping for food for the house, it was a very heavy set woman and a very heavy set young man, mother and son. Yes, they were fat. I didn't sit there and make them eat all this food. They did it on their own. Okay?
Would have been funny if you did.
Yeah, but they were arguing over, what do you want for dinner tonight? Microwave burritos or microwave pizza? I like the burritos. I kind of wanted the fucking pizza. Yeah, but the burritos. This, the FDA allows garbage out like this. And think like this Walmart is like one of the few places in Denver that, not that Denver's small, but like in that area that like people had to go grocery shop. They want you fat, stupid, slow, and lazy. And that's why they're allowed to put these chemicals.
But I mean, don't you want to eat burritos though? Like,
yes,
I know your point. I get your point.
I want to eat a burrito made at a restaurant with nice steak and fresh vegetables and fresh guacamole and fresh beans, not some preservative GMO shit that I gotta heat up in a nuclear microwave. You know what I mean?
Literally a nuclear reactor.
And think of it though.
People still need to take some fucking personal responsibility also though.
Oh yeah,
like 100%. me and you are having this conversation right now. Yeah. We understand that those things are bad for you. So I probably still might eat one of those, nuclear radiation fucking burritos. But
the difference is we'll eat vegetables for if me and you had to eat vegetables for the next 3 days, we'd have no problem with it.
Right.
These people would crumble.
I wouldn't live off of those. Some people are living off shit like that.
That's what I'm saying.
People still need to take some fucking personal responsibility and like make better decisions for themselves. You can't just, I know what you're trying to say, but you also can't just point a finger and be like, "Oh, it's the FDA's fault that I'm fat because they sell burritos and I eat them." You know what I mean?
I'm not saying that it's their fault that these people are buying it. It's their fault that they're even
allowing chemicals.
Yeah. Because think of it like, I don't care where you live. Like West Virginia is a poor place. Cool. Like people down there have less money. Fine. It has to happen somewhere. But all they have to eat is like the bologna we're talking about and McDonald's and
food,
you know what I mean? Like
food deserts, things like that.
And if they wanted to eat healthy, they physically don't make the money to go buy the healthier food. You get fresh berries and fruits for $10, like a half a pound, when for $10 you could go to McDonald's for 3 days out of the fucking week. You know what I mean? And it's all chemicals and garbage, and they're allowed to live off of this. It shouldn't get to the point where a corporation's allowed to put chemicals in, and it shouldn't get to the point where the FDA is like, well, it's America, we're free, like, eat what you want.
There should be standards. There should be standards. That's it. There should be standards.
Better standards.
You know what? And we're like one of the only countries that has these garbage standards for food. Like when I went to Italy and you go to if you go to McDonald's in Italy, the food is way better quality than it is here because the country, Europe, Italy, whatever, has standards that apply even to fast food, and the fast food's got to be like real fucking meat. It can't be chemically laced garbage trash shit.
Yeah. And so you said, "Oh, I would be inclined to eat one of those frozen burrito burgers and shit," right? Yes, I would. But now think if you went to Mexico, and what's a big city in Mexico other than Tijuana?
Mexico City.
Yeah, okay, Mexico City, fine. Think of the quality of burrito you're gonna get at one of their finer restaurants down there.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Like it's literally farm fresh beef, chicken, rice, beans,
like a homemade.
vegetables.
Yeah.
Compared to whatever the fuck Target and Walmart selling in the frozen section.
You're right.
You know?
I have a great Mexican restaurant up here by me, and like when I go there, I get a fucking huge burrito. But like I said, it's all fresh, ingredients, and I feel full after, but I don't feel like I'm gonna die tomorrow after, as opposed to if I ate, 30 Hot Pocket fucking burritos out of the freezer. And when you cut one of those things open, they don't even look like the ingredients that are a burrito are made of.
It's just goo on top of goo. Yeah. So you went to Italy. You could eat pasta every day in Italy.
And I did. And I never felt like shit.
You don't see fat people in Italy. People in Italy should be 400 or 500 pounds. They're all soccer players over there.
It's insane, dude. And all they eat is pasta and pizza and
an old boss of mine had a friend that lived in a small city in Italy, and they opened up one gym. All they did was open up one gym. Every single guy in the city looked like the Situation back from the Jersey Shore, just completely.
Yep.
And I was like, "What are these guys eating?" They're like, "It's all farm fresh food."
Yeah,
like
all their food's organic by default. They don't call it organic because there's no such thing as not organic.
Yeah,
everything's
there's
just
no
organic.
GMOs. There's nothing. My barber's grandmother lives in the DR, and she's like 94 years old. She smokes every day. But what does she eat? She eats fresh fruit, fresh vegetables, fresh poultry, fresh. She doesn't. I don't even think she goes to the store to buy it. It's all locally grown, and she goes to the farmer market and gets this top quality stuff for pennies.
Right.
And she's
things
94.
are still done the natural
healthy,
way.
Yeah. 94. Her only vice is she smokes cigarettes. Everything else in her life is so healthy that it counteracts it.
That's true. That's funny because in Italy, everybody smokes cigarettes still there. It's a big thing. That's why they had such a big problem with coronavirus also. Because a lot of people smoke like fucking chimneys. But they still look healthy, and they're like, if you go to Italy, man, everybody looks like a fucking supermodel. Dudes, girls, everybody.
Think of it though, and also they have a much older generation. So what does that tell you? They're living longer. It's not abnormal in Italy to live clear into your 70s, 80s, 90s.
Yeah, you're right.
And in America, that's the same, But I would say America has more older people because we have such great technology in the hospitals, medical industry.
What's our average age? Let's see.
It's got to be in the 80s.
I don't. No way, dude. No way.
All right,
no
maybe
way.
I'm supporting America a little too hard.
Maybe, yeah, you're definitely. Let's see. Oldest. What should I look up?
Average age of an American.
How old do people live in America? All right, it's actually not bad. 78.7 years.
So almost 79 years old. Yeah,
which puts the U.S. behind other developed nations and 1.5 years lower than the organization. So it's below the life expectancy for the Earth. That's not good. That's what. I'm an idiot. I should have Googled life expectancy. Let's see, life expectancy by country in the world. We're definitely not number one. I'll tell you that much.
No, and that's sad because we're the world power too.
So Hong Kong has the highest fucking life expectancy, 85.29. Hong Kong.
Definitely a lie. Definitely a lie.
That's true. Well, Hong Kong is not, Hong Kong and China are like at odds. So Hong Kong, Japan, Macau, Switzerland, Singapore, Italy. There you go. Spain, Australia, the Channel Islands, Iceland, South Korea. Where the fuck is the USA?
29th, 47th.
We're 46th, dude. Holy shit. That's fucking terrible.
I was off by one.
Wow. Yeah. Cuba. Hold up. You guys want to fucking talk shit about Cuba and socialism? Cuba is 45th. They have higher life expectancy than we do, and there's
Cuba's
fucking
this big.
And so what? It goes by
fresh
scale.
Produce on that island.
Right. So there's good things and bad things about every country. I'm just trying to make that as a point. Yeah, Cuba's socialist and socialism doesn't work and whatnot. They have a higher life expectancy than we do.
Yeah, well, in a socialist country, you're not allowed to eat McDonald's. You only have the bread line.
Yeah, right. You got the bread line? Oh man, that's funny.
It's we basically now have a bread line because I had to wait online to get into Stu Leonard's, and my father had to wait in line to get to ShopRite.
Bread.
Yeah, it's a fucking bread line, bro.
Yeah, well, but it's not because of socials. It's because of this crisis is going on.
The only problem I have with it is we just so like me and you like kind of knew like we need to be ready for something. I would agree on that, and but I feel like just at will people gave away their rights. You know what I mean? Like
yeah, man. People always
the sheep are the masses. The masses are the sheep. You know what I mean? Like they were all too happy to just okay. Like they called Trump a dictator. So a dictator would tell you when you can and can't go to work, what you can and cannot buy, what if you can or you cannot leave your house. You're not allowed to go here. You're not allowed to go there. No more sports. No more entertainment. Like a dictator would tell you yes or no. And Trump is a literal dictator according to the masses. But now he's not being a dictator enough. Like, you know what I mean? Like,
well, that just brings it back to what the doc said is people got Trump derangement syndrome. It doesn't matter what he does, even if he does something that you would agree with, you're gonna not agree with it now because he did it. Yeah. It doesn't make any sense.
But I would agree that there is some type of derangement syndrome. You know what I mean? Right, no matter what he does,
that make no sense.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Well, they're idiots, and we should get one on the show just because then the two of us could work together to jump on them.
That's a good idea.
Yeah. And Trump derangement syndrome works both ways. There's and just like there's liberal snowflakes, there's Republican snowflakes. There's people that when someone attacks Trump, they fucking melt in a heartbeat. But at the same time with the derangement syndrome, when Trump says something, it's like God's words to your ear, and then vice versa, where it just has to be the worst thing in the world.
I hear you. Let's end the podcast on the snow cap. Let's figure out for a future podcast. Let's get on someone who has Trump derangement syndrome that hates Trump, and someone that has Trump derangement syndrome that loves him and he can't do no wrong. Right, and we'll have them both on at the same time, and me and you will be here just trying to put out the fires or whatnot. Yeah. We'll be the voices of reason.
Off of what basis do you have these accusations?
I already got one person in mind.
Oh, we're probably the same guy.
Yeah. We'll see.
Hashtag butt.
Yeah. So we'll
you know what I wanted to laugh at? We started this. The whole podcast was supposed to be about California. We're now an hour and 2 minutes in. We talked about California for about 5 seconds. 5 minutes. We talked about California legalizing marijuana, and here we are now. That's great.
And we didn't even smoke any marijuana. At least I didn't. You did.
Well, I did, yeah. But like we always warn people, this show will go off the tracks. And well, here you go.
That should be the real name. Going off the tracks.
Off the tracks. Crazy train.
Yep. All right, Cap.
All right, my man.
I already drank all my beer, so.
You pussy. Yep, there we go.
All right, guys. Thanks for listening.
Yes, make sure you like us and listen to us on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Apple iTunes. We have an Instagram account at Two Doomed Men. There's a couple underscores in there. Let me get this straight for you boys.
This is going to be going up on YouTube, being that we were able to Skype it. Yep. We'll be posting this one up. Obviously, you'll be watching.
The Instagram account is the number 2_doomed_men_podcast. And also listen to our good friends on the Three Pendejos podcast. They have a nice YouTube page. We had our Fucked Up Friday montage on there the other day. So give that a like and a look.
Yep. All right. Bye, everybody.
Adios, people. Have a good day.